Welcome to the channel, everyone. I am Loot. So I'm going to try to make this intro as short as possible. I did just get done playing The Last of Us Part 1. That playlist is on my YouTube if you want to go check that out. This is going to be my review for The Last of Us after first time playing it. Now, I've not played this at all before. My girlfriend has, and she's actually the one that got me to play this as fast as I did on my channel. I had it on my list. I was gonna play it. Hopefully, when I had The Last of Us 2, I don't have The Last of Us 2 yet. I'm waiting for that to go on sale, and then I am gonna play that. I think that's about it for the intro. Let's just get right into my review and what I think of the game. Now, this is just my opinion. You may agree, you may not agree. First up, we have graphics and visuals. So, I really like the graphics and the visuals in this game. The water looks very good. You've got nice reflections in the water. There's also times where you can get these rays of sunlight that make it look really good. The first starting zone makes it definitely look like it's a dystopian kind of apocalyptic place where the military is taken over. I mean, there's definite, houses and working jobs and stuff like that, but it does look dystopian. And once you get out into the environment, it definitely looks like it has been some time since there has been any humans. There's overgrowth on the buildings. And then when you're in the buildings, of course, there's no light, so you have to use your flashlight. It really good ambiance, and you got the cordyceps. I don't know what it's called, but like the stuff like on the walls, that stuff looks really good. I like the way they did that. So the graphics and visuals for me, I'm gonna give I want to give it a 9, but I also want to give it a 10. I'm gonna give it a 9 because I personally have seen better, but that's not to say that it's almost perfect. The next category we're going to talk about is gameplay and mechanics. So if you're not aware of, if you're watching this, you probably are aware, but so gameplay is you play as Joel and you have Ellie along for the ride. That's the majority of it. It's not exactly like that. In the beginning, you do have, I cannot remember her name. I apologize. But you have her following you along a little bit in the beginning, but primarily you play as Joel. Unfortunately, you can't switch off with Ellie. I would have liked to have been able to switch off with Ellie, but there are zones, or not zones, but missions. I'm going to call them missions, where you can play as Ellie. So I did like that. Mechanics of the game are, when it comes to leveling, you really don't have many options. Options are not bad necessarily. It's just very limited. And I think that's a good and a bad thing. It's good because it limits your options and it makes it feel like the environment in the game is more realistic. But for a gameplay sense, you just don't have many impactful, oh, I really like this. Not a lot is really, you could probably easily play this game and not level up your character like at all. Also, I played on the computer. I play all my games with keyboard and mice. My girlfriend played the game on not console. She did play it on console, but she played it with a controller on PC most recently. Now, I don't know if it's a keyboard and mouse thing or if it's the way the game was built, but the mechanics of like swapping through your weapons on the fly when you need to is a little clunky. I don't like it that much. I wish. Now, there are ways you can do hotkeys, but even the hotkeys are a little clunky. Because of primarily the hotkeys and swapping through weapons, I'm gonna give gameplay and mechanics an 8 out of 10. Next, we have the story. I really like this story. So the story is you've got Ellie, which is immune to, whatever the cordyceps disease or whatever is. And you have Joel that is trying to get her to Firefly Outpost so they can take her blood. Just in case you're watching this, I'm not going to give any major spoilers. That's pretty much the story. There's not a lot to it. I do have one gripe about the story, and that's the left behind portion that is after you beat the game could have easily been incorporated into the game. Now, I don't really have any story plots that I think fell short. I like the story overall, but because I do think the Left Behind should have been in the main game, there was no reason to make it a side story after you beat the game. For that sole reason, I think it's fair if I give the story a 9 out of 10. Now, as far as the sound and the music goes, which is our next category, I think they did a very good job. The music was subtle, it was eerie, it kicked in at the right times, it made you feel suspenseful, which is what you really want. The sounds were incredible. Walking through tall grass, through the water, swimming, climbing through broken down buildings sounded good. The way that the cordyceps would like scream and run at you, and the different noises that they had, and the clickers were most definitely, for me, the most scary part in the beginning. It became the bloaters, but you don't really see them nearly as much as the clickers. But that clicking noise that they make definitely was creaky. Definitely was creepy in some of these places. And I gotta be honest, I think they absolutely nailed the music and the sounds. I didn't get any weird musical glitches or sound glitches. So because I didn't experience any of that, I'm gonna give the sound and music a 10. As far as performance goes, performance is a really simple metric for me. I did not have any game crashes. I didn't have any weird loading issues playing the game, starting the game, transitioning from scene to scene. So for that, the performance for me is going to get a 10 out of 10. Replayability. So this is, for this game, for me, is probably not there. After I've played the story through once, for me, there's not really much of a reason. Now, I played it on like the normal difficulty. I could play it again and crank it up to like the hard difficulty, but that's not enough for me to play the game again. I don't feel, like I said before, I don't feel like the character skill system was really advanced. There's really no reason to do New Game Plus and try to max that out. You're not really going to get much from that. The weapons, while you can upgrade them, I think they would be much better if you could fully upgrade more weapons. Definitely have a easier time, even on the harder difficulties. But the story is the story. It's not very long, and that actually counts against it for me, that it's not that long, because I have no desire to replay it after I've already played it. But it's not necessarily no replayability. Replayability is going to get a 5 from me. Now, the atmosphere is the next section that we're going to talk about. It's pretty simple section, pretty small section. How did the world, what I think about when I think of atmosphere is how does the world feel with the story that they're trying to tell? And I felt like the atmosphere of, it's been, I think it's 30 years on the TV show, 40 years for the game. Maybe if I can find that clip of the very beginning of the game, maybe I'll throw that up there. I can't remember. I think it's 40 years. But the atmosphere, I think they absolutely nailed. The people are desperate, in the first, you get that sense that they're desperate in the first little zone that you visit, or that, not the very beginning of the game, but after you do the time jump. They definitely feel like they are desperate. And when you get out into the world, you've got bandits, You understand why they're bandits, and with the overgrowth, it makes the world feel lived in. So I think they absolutely nailed it. I'm gonna give the atmosphere a 10 out of 10. As far as innovation, which is the next one, I'm not entirely, I'm trying to think if there's been any actual innovation that I've seen come from this game. And I don't think there has been, because like I said, the skill system was meh. I did very much like the weapon system, the weapon crafting system. That was very cool. How when you upgrade a weapon to like a next tier of whatever that might be, you know, the barrel or whatever, it makes a physical change on that weapon so you can see it. Off the top of my head, I can't think of another game that really does that. That's the only thing that sticks out in my mind. Now, if other games took that concept and ran with it, I think there'd be much better games out there, even when not necessarily when it comes to like handguns, shotguns, sniper rifles, but you could do something like this in like a medieval and magic role-playing type world. I think it's definitely there. It adds some customizability. It's a cool feature. I'm going to give innovation a 7 out of 10 because I think there is something there, but I haven't seen it anywhere else in any other games. Next, we're going to talk about value. So value, I think, is purely subjective for you. I personally bought The Last of Us Part 1 on Steam on the computer a while ago, but it was on sale. I think I bought it for like $15. For me, how much fun I got out of the game and how long it took me to beat the game, I think I usually range it at, if I'm spending at least $1 per hour, that's a perfectly fine valuation for me. So when you add in as much time as I played the game to get me to beat it, how much I paid, for me, like around $15-$20, that is a 10 out of 10 value for how much fun I had, how much time I played. Now, if I were to have spent $60 when the game first came out, I'm not sure I would give it a 10 out of 10 on value because the game is rather short. It's incredibly fun, but it's short. All right, so the last little section is final thoughts. Before we get into any final thoughts, my final score review for the game is going to be an 8.6. That is a pretty high score for me. Now, in order to understand how I score things, a 1 would be like the worst game ever. I hate this game. Nobody should ever play this game. It's for no one. I don't think a 1 exists for video games. I think no matter how bad or how much you may not like a game, there's probably fun for someone. On the flip side, I do believe that there is no such thing as a 10 out of 10 game. No game is absolutely perfect. There's nothing you could possibly change. So for me, an 8.6 is incredibly high. This was a very fun game. There was, you know, some quirks, which is why I didn't rate everything 10 out of 10. I definitely enjoy this game. I am glad that I played it. I am definitely looking forward to The Last of Us Part 2. Also, keep an eye out for The Last of Us Part 2 whenever that goes on sale for, you know, a decent sale. I will be buying it and I'll be playing it as soon as possible because I really did enjoy The Last of Us Part 1. And some of you may be like, well, you gave it an 8.6. How much did you really enjoy it? For me, an 8.6 is extremely high. So I did thoroughly enjoy it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting. I'd love to talk to you guys about my review and what you guys think of it as well, and how yours may differ from mine. All right, everybody, I'm Loot, and I'm out.